prior to me going down this endeavor of 90% of our cases were referred from other firms.
Level up, learn a new skill, get more leads.
A case that's not referred is probably worth twice as much because you're going to have to pay a referral fee.
Welcome to Personal Injury Mastermind. I'm your host, Chris Stryer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io, the preeminent personal injury marketing agency. Before we get started, if you like what you hear, head on over to Apple or Spotify and pound that 5-star review button. And if you don't like what you hear, tell me about it in a 1-star review. I got a big hug for all my haters too. Ready to dominate your market? Let's go. Litigation firms don't really advertise. Typically, they're sent cases from larger pre-lit firms, like the big guys with massive budgets on billboards and TV. This was definitely true of the litigation firm Cruz and Payne injury lawyers. 90% of their cases came from attorney referrals, and they did virtually no advertising. This also meant that 90% of the cases had fee splits. Clay Payne saw this as an opportunity. On a warpath to earn more clients, he learned a new skill and leveled up. He now has over 200,000 followers on Instagram. His efforts generated so many cases that he earned the title of partner. Social media is a great way to build a network of potential clients. He explains how to get over that follower plateau and why you don't need a massive team or fancy equipment to get it done right. Here's Clay Payne, partner at Cruz and Payne Injury Lawyers, on how he first got into law.
You know, both my parents are attorneys and my grandparents are attorneys and uncles who are judges. And so it kind of just ran in the family. So I was always interested and kind of just grew up around the plaintiff side lingo, talking about different issues, at the dinner table.
Are there any early memories you can that like stands out with those experiences?
Definitely, tagging along with my father and going up to Austin for mediations and stuff like that. I always wanted to be a plaintiff side personal injury attorney, and that's what I went to law school for. When I got out of law school, I wanted to start at a firm that did plaintiff work because I wanted to figure out, how to practice law. And so that's essentially what I did. Up until January of this year, I wasn't actually a partner at my firm. I just became a partner. And a large part of that is due to the leads I've been generating from Instagram. Last year, around April, is when I really dove into Instagram and marketing, essentially. Before that, I was just grinding and trying to settle cases, get courtroom experience, and kind of go from that angle.
That's amazing. And kind of jumping over to the biz dev side, a lot of times our audience wants to know, like, hey, how do I get the leads? And your Instagram has a massive following. Last I checked, it was 209,000 and counting. And I went in there and I clicked. I was like, let me see what these comments are. Let me see if we got good engagement and see what's going on. And you got good engagement. So what goes into that? Then we can get granular and then how that makes an impact on your firm.
I learned early on, maybe through a revelation, that to be successful in the injury space, you need to learn how to bring in cases. There were some attorneys out there on Instagram doing, kind of informational videos and stuff like that, but I really didn't see anyone doing it kind of every single day, just being in front of the camera. And there were a few attorneys that do that, and they do that to even today. But the competition is not that fierce. I think slowly attorneys are kind of getting into it. In any case, I dove into basically providing informational content through TikTok and Instagram. My first videos that I did performed horribly. You kind of are very awkward in front of the camera when you haven't done it before. And so and I got the hang of it. And eventually I started learning how to get videos, to make videos go viral. And that just organically, the trajectory of my followers has gone from 0 to over 200,000 just on Instagram.
So let's dig into that. There's a ton of attorneys listening that are doing social media. They're even being consistent, but they're still stuck in that, I would say, 500 to 2,000 followers range, and it just kind of stay there. They don't really have a lot of engagement. What are some of the elements that you've broke this down and you've kind of figured out, like what makes something go viral? What are some of those components to really generate impressions?
Absolutely. It's harder to execute it than it may seem. I found out that Instagram, it depends on the user's preference. So if you talk about car accidents day in and day out and these obscure insurance codes and how you need UIM and you need to get your PIP coverage and you need this, you're going to bore your audience to sleep. As much as that intrigues personal injury attorneys and as much as it intrigues colleagues, and we talk about all these nuances of law and how we can one up the defense attorney, it's not interesting to the average Joe. And so essentially what I've done and what I think the attorneys who are successful on TikTok and Instagram have done is they realize that it's a branding play, and to gain the follower count and to gain the virality, you can't focus on just injury law and insurance law. You need to go broad and do criminal, interesting facts, do situations that create controversy in some sense, because controversy drives views, and it doesn't have to be controversy that cast a negative light on you, but it could be a controversial topic that everyone's talking about. And if an attorney can opine and talk about it in such a way, people are engaged with that. And so essentially my strategy has been create video ideas that kind of capture people's attention. And then essentially I pepper in the fact that I'm an injury attorney. I pepper in the fact that I do car accidents, that I pepper in the kind of the boring insurance stuff, like, hey, you need UIM coverage. Here's what to do after a car accident. Here's what to do if you get into an Uber Lyft accident. Those type of topics, they're peppered in all throughout the videos. So you're not seeing just that. You're seeing, this other interesting stuff. And then you're also seeing the injury stuff.
If you're too narrow, you position yourself where you're too specific and you don't appeal to enough people. Look, if you're trying to reach a broad audience, talk about things that a broad audience would be interested in. And I think that's so interesting. And the other thing too is you seem to be really consistent. Are you getting in a regular cadence? Like, hey, every Monday I knock these out, or, maybe it's every day at 9 a.m. I'm knocking the video. Like, tell me about the habits that go into this, since you yourself are creating the content.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't have a social media team. I mean, essentially, now I'm a partner at my firm, Cruz and Payne Injury Lawyers, and I do all the video production myself, essentially. I think it can be delegated. I think you can definitely delegate it. But I've kind of gotten in a cadence, so to speak, in such a way where I can knock it out pretty quickly. But as far as the weekly shoots and everything, essentially it involves, coming up to my office on Sunday, either a home office or my physical office. And my wife is my teammate. She actually comes up and we use the back camera on the iPhone 13. We record all the videos. It doesn't require extensive production equipment or anything of that nature. We're shooting it with that, and we use a professional microphone, essentially, like the Rode mic. It takes about 2 hours to record, and then I send it off to a video editor to do the edits and everything.
So once a week, you'll do a 2-hour batch, and it'll be good for the week. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I try to do 7 to 12 videos a week. So at some point throughout the week, I sit down. So in addition to those 2 hours, I also have to devote 1 or 2 hours throughout the week to come up with the ideas, because I essentially write myself a script. I bring my script, to the shoots. And so sometime throughout the week, I write my script, and then on Sunday, I shoot the videos and then send it off. It is a time commitment. There's definitely a devotion. You have to devote, at least 2 or 3 hours a week to it. But, if you're getting, half of your cases coming in through social media, it's worth it.
I just heard Pomp on My First Million. He was talking about his role, and he said it's just to do podcasts and social media because he creates distribution, and that distribution is so powerful, right? So if you have a message, the firm has a message, you've now got a few 100,000 followers. It's just going to continue to grow that are engaged and going to hear what you have to say, as opposed to 2,000, right? There's just a lot of leverage there. I want to kind of circle back around to that first point where you're like, hey, you're pretty transparent. Whenever I started bringing in the cases, I had something to negotiate to bring to the partners. Hey, I want to be a partner. I'm generating a lot of business. So you kind of understood that. Did you also approach the attorney referral side? Did you go that direction as well, or was it just hey, I'm going to focus on social, and then that's where you're kind of laser beam focused?
No, I'm actually going on all fronts right now. The attorney referral side is, I think the social media helps in some way because it gets your name out. I mean, I'm sure there's probably going to be some attorneys that watch this podcast and maybe reaching out to me and say, "Hey, I saw you on the podcast, or I listened to the podcast, and it was great, and let's connect." And maybe I'll send them some cases, maybe they'll send some cases back to me. But I mean, at the end of the day, people do business with people they like, the know like trust type of deal. And so, obviously they have to know you first. If you have 200,000 over 200,000 followers on Instagram, percentage of those are going to be attorneys, and a percentage of those are attorneys that are going to need a referral source. Our firm essentially doesn't do any marketing outside of my social media. We're a litigation firm. So prior to me going down this endeavor of getting cases essentially coming in right from the inception, 90% of our cases were referred from other firms, billboard firms, or firms that did a lot of ad spend, pay-per-click and stuff like that, radio, television, and that type of stuff. I've been reaching out to a lot of firms to see if there's cases that might not fit their business model. Oftentimes there's relationships that have come about through this progression of just getting your name out there. In other words, social media can also be used to just get your name out there. And then once people recognize you, it's an easy end to make that introduction and have that potential referral partner.
When creating content for social media, you got to know who you're talking to. Is it referring attorneys or potential clients? The messaging for one might not fit the other, but chances are there will be some overlap. You got to understand your firm's unique positioning and relationship to the target audience to create content that converts.
I think that my content that I put out is not geared towards attorneys at all. I think it's geared towards, potential clients. As far as the referral base and bringing in cases as a litigation firm, I think it's easier because most pre-lit firms or firms that have, maybe multiple departments and stuff like that, they're going to be hesitant to take a case that has any sort of liability dispute, property damage issue, or, some sort of issue that's going to create the need for litigation, those are the type of cases that we want. The cases that are getting referred over to us are cases that need litigation. There's probably high damages, but maybe a potentially liability issue, or, maybe there's, low property damage, but clear liability. And the firm that's handling it before us doesn't have the wherewithal to work it up in the proper way, get the experts involved that they need to get involved. From a marketing standpoint on Instagram, a case that's not referred is probably worth twice as much because you're going to have to pay a referral fee on any case that you get referred over to you. So any cases that come in through Instagram, obviously they're generated by our firm. There's not a referral fee on it. So there's value there.
In terms of, we talked a lot about Instagram and you're crushing on Instagram. Is that the originator and then you're curating to TikTok and maybe YouTube Shorts? Is that kind of the strategy to originate? Because I think a lot of attorneys right now are kind of originating on TikTok, it seems. Then they're putting on Reels, and then they're putting on YouTube Shorts. What made you make that decision?
No, I actually started on TikTok, but I realized that, and I think I had gotten quite a few followers on TikTok before I even moved to Instagram. I think I had like 50,000 or something at some point. But I didn't get any leads at all from TikTok. There's issues with TikTok because you can't message within the app without friending each other. In addition, I think the type of potential clients or the type of users of TikTok tend to be, I guess, a younger audience, and maybe a trust issue with establishing that brand identity. So as soon as I moved over to Instagram, or I started just doing both, I moved over to Instagram and started posting on both platforms. That's when the leads started coming in through Instagram, because you can message right within the app. You post a video and people see you every day dressed up in a suit, talking about different legal issues, and then they go get into a car accident and you're the first person on their mind.
Yeah, that makes sense on Instagram in terms of the DMing and having that ability to control like an intake. I guess the attention span too on TikTok's probably just way shorter than, it's just super swipe. I don't know the speed if anybody's done that type of test. I know you're getting the referrals from your litigating side and you have that side too, right? And you got to pay those referral percentages. How has your role changed, right? Since you're now partner, or has the The rest of the firm now give you more of the freedom to pursue this because they've seen the impact. How has it changed?
Business development, I mean, bringing in clients is a significant part of my job now. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You start bringing in cases, you make partner, and then now it's kind of your job to keep on bringing in cases and potential clients. So a large part of my time in the office, as well as, on the weekends through Instagram and all that is now spent potentially, looking for the next way to bring in a potential client. I think that as far as just keeping your head down in the papers and just grinding, away, those days are kind of long gone. I mean, obviously I still am an attorney. I still, do all my depositions, trials and all that, but the amount of time I'm spending on my career is significantly, more now. It's not a 40-hour work week. Any attorney is probably not a 40-hour work week, but, especially when, part of your job is to bring in cases and stuff, it's definitely not an additional career in and of itself. If any of your listeners are out there and thinking about jumping into social media, I encourage them to do so. I think it's a great marketing tool. It's completely free. In other words, you don't have to do ad spend. My 200,000 followers came from all organic. So, I mean, essentially my only costs were my video editing costs, which I, to pay someone to edit my videos for me. Other than that, like I said, I think that it's still a very viable way to bring in cases, and I encourage people to try it out.
On the video editing side, do you use like Tasty Edits or Video Husky or anything like that? Is there a particular service you use for that?
I found someone on Fiverr that I like. I don't know if you're familiar with Fiverr.
Yep.
You can go on there and you can find someone that will edit your videos for like $5 to $10 a video. So you can upload 7 videos, your weekly videos if you want to post one a day, and spend $100 essentially a week. So it's very, very minimal cost.
For the attorneys listening, where can they go to get in touch with you, and what's next?
Sure, absolutely. Everyone can get in touch with me probably through my email is best. It's cpayne@cruzpc.net, which is CPAYNE @cruzpc.net. And, as far as what's next, just keep grinding away and putting up the good fight against the insurance companies.
Thanks so much for Clay for sharing his insights today. Let's hit the takeaways. Time for the pinpoints. Here we go. Pinpoint number 1. Social media may not be as saturated as you think. It is still a great way to widen the pool for potential clients. But you got to be consistent, show up over and over, and stay on the top.
But the competition is not that fierce.
Next up, pinpoint number 2. Your content has to be memorable. Think about the reasons you came to social media. To be entertained, to learn something that interests you, or maybe you just scroll until you see something that grabs your attention. Whatever the reason, the app puts the user at the center. Make content for the user. If you're a B2C firm, make content that clients would understand.
So if you talk about car accidents day in and day out and these obscure insurance codes and how you need UIM and you need to get your PIP coverage and you need this, you're going to bore your audience to sleep.
And pinpoint number 3. You don't have to be everywhere all at once to be effective. Get comfortable with one platform first. Evaluate the performance, see what works for you and what doesn't. Go to the platform that makes sense for your demographic and your business needs.
I think I had quite a few followers on TikTok before I even moved to Instagram. I think I had like 50,000 or something at some point, but I didn't get any leads at all from TikTok.
I'm Chris Dreyer, founder and CEO of Rankings.io. Join me each week for insights from the best in the legal industry. Click that follow button so you never miss an episode and leave a review. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you've been here for a while, do me a solid and leave me a review. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Next week, you'll hear from Mike Alder of Alder Law on why depositions are crucial to getting maximum value. See you there. I'm out.